Welcome into the professional sports edition of Hawks Nest. It's the NFL Draft Special. I'm Clay Harrell, joined by Owen Carando. Owen, how's it going today?
Pretty good. How are you?
I'm doing good. So I think the first order of business when you look at the NFL Draft, the Jets have the second pick. I think everybody knows that the Jags are taking Trevor Lawrence at 1. But when you look at number 2 in the Jets and you look at their quarterback history, do they take a Zach Wilson? Do they take a Justin Fields? And if you're one of those two guys, are you a little scared to go into that situation given the history of the Jets and their quarterbacks?
Man, if I'm one of those two guys, I'm absolutely terrified. I mean, run game, Frank Gore was running for them last year. Wide receivers, you don't have any weapons. You traded away Robbie Anderson. I mean, you have Rashad Perryman still, but there's really no help on that offensive side of the ball, and yet alone the defensive side of the ball. So if I'm going there, it's kind of like,
it's like when you're in a video game and you have the option to go back to college.
I'm going back to college if I'm one of those guys.
No, I think it's definitely something that, and maybe a guy like that, those guys at this level, they like the challenge maybe of trying to turn a franchise around, but I think a lot of guys have went into the Jets organization with that mindset, and within, 2-3 years, even with Sam Darnold just traded to your Carolina Panthers, it's not working out for quarterbacks with the Jets. I mean, do you like that challenge, though, maybe as a professional athlete?
I mean, yeah, it's something to look at. Everybody, or most people, like a good challenge when it comes to the sport they're playing. They don't want to just walk in there and be the best, but it's like you said, it's just scary.
That's a challenge.
That's a challenge. It's going to be a tough challenge, and we'll see if one of those guys can stand up to it and take the task.
Do you take Fields or Zach Wilson at 2?
Ooh, that's a tough one. I think me personally, I would take Justin Fields just because you get a little bit more of that mobility. He might not have as much arm strength as Zach Wilson, but you get a little bit more of versatility out of your quarterback that way.
I think initially and early on, pre-draft, and obviously we're still technically in the pre-draft, but even, when the college football season was still happening, it seemed like a lot of people were convinced that it would be Lawrence Fields 1-2. And now I think that maybe people are thinking Zach Wilson goes at 2. I think it'd be a pretty good pick for the Jets. You mentioned the strong arm of Wilson. I don't think they go wrong with either pick. I think they'll go with Zach Wilson just the way things are going right now. Justin Fields was banged up there at the end of the season, as I think he took a little bit of a hit there, but obviously still being a top 3 pick is pretty good stuff for him. But I mentioned top 3 pick. He might not be a top 3 pick because the San Francisco 49ers are looking at Mac Jones to take him 3rd overall.
Yeah, that's something I really can't wrap my head around right now. I mean, Justin Fields is great. I mean, a lot of people have been questioning his work ethic and what he does on the field versus off the field, but I mean, there's clips of him. He'll throw an 80-yard touchdown and he'll sprint all the way down the field just to make sure his wide receivers are getting that block. So his work ethic and his love for the game are definitely there.
My question for you, though, is why is it the case of when you look at this, why are they going after a quarterback in the first place, or why is it Mac Jones?
I think it's both. I mean, Jimmy G, like you said, 2 years ago, took him to the Super Bowl. Not a big deal. They didn't win the Super Bowl, but he got banged up last year, and you had guys like Nick Mullins and there's
C.J. Beathard,
C.J. Beathard that were out there trying to lead the team to win games, and it just was not working for them very well.
But I guess the thing when you look at it is George Kittle was hurt as well. So it's is it really time to move on from the Jimmy G experiment right now? Given all the injuries they dealt with and what 2020 was, I don't know how fair it is to just go and to just kind of end that experiment right now.
Yeah, you said Jimmy G was hurt. Tevin Coleman also got hurt in the first game of the year, but I get those are 2 big guys of your offense.
And my next thing is, if you're going to take a quarterback, why is it Mac Jones? In my opinion, I don't think he's better than Zach Wilson. I don't think he's better than Justin Fields, and one of those 2 guys are going to be there.
Maybe they see something in him that we just overlook, or maybe they just want him to be their guy.
He would probably, I don't think he would definitely be their guy eventually. I don't think he would, obviously. I still think you maybe get another year or 2 of Jimmy G with Mac Jones behind him, but it's kind of you saw the Aaron Rodgers reaction when they drafted Jordan Love. If you're Jimmy G, that's not going to make you very happy when you're taking a quarterback with your number, your first pick in the draft and at number 3 at that.
Well, you see what Aaron Rodgers did when they took Jordan Love. It was kind of like motivation. He turned it all up. I mean, he was an MVP candidate, so Maybe that's what they're trying to do
So
with
you're
Jimmy
saying
G.
Jimmy G is going to be an MVP candidate?
Maybe.
And, I mean, Aaron Rodgers won the MVP. I would put a lot of money on the fact that Jimmy G probably doesn't win MVP, but maybe he does get back to a level where he can carry them to the playoffs.
Yeah, maybe it's that little bit of a motivation.
Okay. Hey, we've talked a lot about quarterbacks. What about the first non-quarterback taken? Where do you see that happening, and who do you think it'll be?
I think it definitely will be inside the top 10, and without a doubt in my mind, it's going to be Kyle Pitts. I mean, the kid is just electric.
So I think when you look at it, the Falcons have the 4th, the Dolphins have the 5th. I think it's going to be one of those two that take the first non-quarterback. I think the Falcons take a guy like Trey Lance, who can play behind Matt Ryan for a year or two. The Dolphins, like they're all in on Tua. But do you go for the O-line help if you're the Dolphins you know what I mean? Like, do you go after that tight end like Pitts, though?
I mean, I think you overlooked a big tight end there, and Mike Gesicki already.
Oh, yeah, I did forget Mike Gesicki. That's a good call.
But the Falcons, on the other hand, they don't really have that guy. I mean, you had Hayden Hurst and a couple other guys, but none of those players are up to the caliber of a Mike Gesicki or not Rob Gronkowski, but George Kittle. So
I think, though, the issue, though, with the Falcons taking maybe that non-quarterback is we don't know how much more Matt Ryan has left in the tank.
Right.
So if you don't go get a future quarterback, your fans who are already kind of disgruntled a bit with the way things have been going, obviously didn't have a good year last year. We know what had happened in the Super Bowl previously. I don't know if you don't go quarterback there just because I don't know how smart of a move that would be to not ensure something.
Yeah, I totally get it. And you said they need O-line help, but it's just tough to take an O-lineman with a top 10 pick in the draft because, one, there's so much depth for O-line in this draft, and then, two, you want to take the best player available if you're going to be that high up.
The last question I have for you before we get out of here is, what do you think about Devonta Smith? Is he a guy that you see going obviously probably first wide receiver off the board, but is he a top 10 pick, you think?
I don't know. I mean, I've been seeing a lot of hype around Jamar Chase. And a lot of people think Smith is undersized, but when you look at it and what he had done at the college level at least, he's just a baller out there. He just shined.
I would like to see the Dolphins either pick him up or Jamar Chase. I think them with Tua would be pretty interesting, especially Tua and Devonta Smith both having those Alabama ties. I don't know off the top of my head if they played together, but I think that would be quite an interesting combo there to get him a receiver. Like, obviously, I forgot about Mike Gesicki. So if you get him a receiver that can, go down the field and catch a ball, I think the Dolphins could be a team that, if they make that pick, maybe that has like a Justin Jefferson effect on their team.
Right.
So let us know in the comments who you think's the first non-quarterback taken is in the upcoming NFL draft. For Owen Carando, I'm Clay Harrell, and we say have a great week.